Hello, my name is Kyle McCrackan, and this is my cybercrime presentation for forensics. Uh, Before I begin, I would just like to apologize for any extra background noise. Both Zach and I had to move out of our apartment a little bit earlier than expected, and our new apartment is less than ready. So I'm back home for the time being. So I apologize again for any excessive background noise. The case I researched was an incident that happened at the University of Central Missouri earlier during the fall of 2009. Um, Two students had basically come up with a computer virus, and what this computer virus would do is basically it would give them remote access to a computer, and through this remote access, they were able to access several protected areas of the UCM network that really, I mean, they shouldn't have been. With this, basically, this all started. What they would do is they would spread the virus around. Most of it was done through email attachments, though. In several cases, they had actually taken preloaded flash drives out to certain targets, and had offered to basically, show, I believe it was vacation photos or something of that nature, and would plug in the flash drive, upload the virus, and just pretty much a pretty good example of a social engineering attack. Continuing on with the case, basically what they would do with the protected information is they started small. They actually had started. They basically were poking around on the network. They had gotten several databases to information of from employees, faculty, staff, students, both current, a few alumni, and basically what they would do is from there they started looking into transferring funds. I couldn't find a total for the funds, but somewhere I believe it was in the indictment. I believe it was. I want to say the monetary funds were around 5,000. Um, from there, they actually started to gain access to start to alter some of the grades that they had wanted to change, or if they had also changed some withdrawal records, I think. But sorry about that. I'm back. Sorry about that. I've returned. A couple issues with the dogs, but I believe I was talking about how they had obtained several databases from the school. From here, one of their last actions, which started to tip people off, was they had actually through remote access had gained access to one of the admin's computers, which they were using to monitor his actions, see where he's been. They pulled his email database. They'd also uh, they'd also been using a keylogger to see different passwords. Um, for some reason, I can't figure out why, they were also monitoring his actions on his web camera. I I really don't know why, but whatever. Uh, the last illegal action they had taken is during the December of 2009. Uh, Camp had actually contacted somebody in New York and was actually offering to sell all the identities he had gathered on the from the UCM network. From here, he is looking for about a sum of, I think it was $35,000. At this point in time, law officials had actually began to act and start to monitor Camp and Fowler's different activities. When this had started, both Camp and Fowler had went to Facebook and had started to actually threaten and also started to harass different potential witnesses who might testify against them. At this point in time, officers had obtained a search and seizure warrant for Fowler's dorm room while camp was in New York. When officers had arrived at Fowler's dorm room, he had actually cleared out all the computer equipment with the exception of a monitor with a post-it note on it saying "Too late" with a smiley face. Uh, Not exactly the brightest idea. I mean, at this point in time, obviously you're interfering with an investigation, and I mean that's going to add charges on. The charges I was able to find for the case, both Fowler and Camp were given the same list of charges. Both of them were charged with a count of conspiracy. They were also charged with one count of computer intrusion causing damage, one count of intercepting electronic communications, so live communication, one count of intrusion to obtain information, one count of intrusion for to further a fraud scheme, uh, two counts of aggravated identity theft, and also one count of intrusion causing damage. This case is still considered to be a live case. It's still ongoing. There has not been a verdict on the case, so all of these charges are considered accusations until they are actually proven guilty. Fowler has since this document has been released has entered a guilty plea, and for the combined total of his charges, looking at a sentence up to 15 years in prison and a fine of up to $500,000. Um, with the case being live, it's been very difficult to find information on the case as far as the forensics details, and the only thing I really found were part of how they caught them was actually through live traffic monitoring. The human element was pretty much the biggest giveaway from the way I understand it. Somebody was going through some of the I think it was an accountant or something of that nature, was going through some of the financial documents for the college and was noticing that some funds were just randomly disappearing. So, at this point in time, I'd also like to make mention to the different legal aspects. Uh, there were several different issues that were raised for the legal. Um, when they're looking at this case, they're going to be looking at several, the actions taken by both Camp and Fowler. Uh, one of the first issues at hand, obviously, they were illegally monitored. There was no consent. They were illegally monitoring traffic. Um, this is illegal, as we found out in class, under the Wiretap Act of 1968. Another charge that another charge that they had also gathered in this case too was also accessing a protected computer and also causing damage. In this case, in this case in time too, they were also accessing various student records, which under the HIPAA Act is also apologies for the interruption, the dogs again, but I believe I was talking about the HIPAA Act and how that would also get them a couple charges under there as well. There were also several charges that were also related to just outside of the computer forensics aspect of the class as well, such as there were several conspiracy charges as well as charges of identity theft. At this point in time, I see on the bottom I'm reaching 9 minutes, so I'm going to have to cut the presentation now. But here are my sources. I'm also going to be including the actual PowerPoint copy of the presentation. I tried to keep the screen resolution at a minimum to keep the size of the video down because I believe Blackboard has an upload limit of 25 megs. So, thank you again. This has been my Cybercrimes presentation, and this will be interesting to follow in the future. I'm really curious to see what charges that will actually stick.